started.
Yep. Hi everyone. Get back to the session then.
Let's kick off now. We're going to kick off now with Andy Parry. Automate all the things. Take it away, Andy.
Thanks, mate. Let me just close these things here. Alrighty. So, hang on. Let's set the tone here. So, hello and welcome to SUGCON 2020 and my session, Automate All the Things. Whatever time zones you're in and wherever you are, thank you very much for joining. It's great. And it's kind of strange that in these times where we can at least find an opportunity to have a conference, thanks to the organisers, we appreciate it. We can't travel, but we can still have a bit of sense of community, which is nice. Right, so you saw the donate slide before we get started. This event has been organised by a small group of hardworking volunteers. They've donated a great deal of their personal time. This conference, because of them, is free. So if you want to give back a little bit, then please donate via the link on the screen and help those who are maybe not as fortunate as ourselves at the moment. There's a Breakroom, Chillout. Please don't share it, but if you want to go and have a chat, then there's a Breakroom you can join during the whole conference to speak to other attendees, whatever you like, or indeed Zoom bot. Okay, well, about me. My name's Andy Parry. I'm a Sitecore architect at PwC Australia here in Perth, Western Australia, quite a long way from everywhere else. I was really delighted to be awarded Technology MVP this year, and I'm the co-organiser of SUG Perth along with my friend and fellow MVP George Tucker. You can get me on these handles below. So, what are we going to talk about? Well, marketing automation. I call it Automate All the Things, and my view on that is like we can use marketing automation to do more than what it does out of the box, and that's what I want to do here today. So, we're going to look at marketing automation. Why marketing automation? And a quick overview of MA, which is sometimes called in Sitecore. If you're already like really familiar with marketing automation, don't kind of switch off now, because we are going to get a bit more in depth. So there'll be a little bit of an overview, and then we'll get a bit more into the weeds. We'll also look at the user interface. I'll do a little demo site that I've created to demo sending SMS from registering a goal and going into a campaign. And then we'll do a deep dive into the front end, the back end code, and how we can create what's called a custom activity type, how we create the editor, how we put it all together in Sitecore and deploy it and debug and troubleshoot. If we get time, also we'll have a little look at custom predicates. There is a GitHub repo that supports this. It's currently got branches for 9.1 and 9.3. So you can grab that and you can pretty much build all of this, and you should be able to deploy it and run it without any issues. Right, so why marketing automation? It provides omni-channel automation. Let me just move some stuff out of the way here. Okay, we can trigger journeys through interaction. So it enables us to use XDB and the contacts and XConnect and all of the cool stuff that's in Sitecore XP, use interactions and rules to put people into automation plans, nurture them, and push them through a set of journeys that we can use to drive business and to drive value. The good thing about marketing automation is that interactions can act on the plan in real time. So previously, you have to wait for a session to end before the interactions would reach the contact in XDB. We can actually act on those plans and cause things to happen and integrate with inbound and outbound services to integrate with our core systems and to make our Sitecore XP more integrated with our overall business. And that could be mobile apps, IoT, whatever. And it's very tightly integrated with XDB contacts, interactions, EXM, and the list manager. So it really is like a key part of the whole Sitecore ecosystem. And I think if you are not using it, you may be missing some value of how you can tie all of that together along with your tracking and analytics. It's also got a new rules engine and out-of-the-box rules. So in short, we use marketing automation to drive customer engagement and deliver value. It was introduced in Sitecore 9. It's a complete rewrite. So in Sitecore 8, we had engagement plans. And it was a bit clunky. Anyway, it was a total rewrite for version 9. It's now got its own engine, which you've probably seen if you've deployed a 9.x site to PAS or wherever, or indeed see the local services on the system. It's independent of experience management. So the engine runs in its own context. We don't have access to Sitecore context. And it's got its own way of accessing rules and data that is completely independent of the web and master databases. It uses an Angular UI, which I guess is kind of a little scary sometimes if you're a back-end developer, but this should help you to get up to speed with it if you're not familiar with it. It's also designed to be very extensible, so we can actually build integration points really quite quickly and easily. So let's take a quick look at marketing automation. So we're in a sample site that I've got here, Sitecore 9.3. We get to marketing automation, and we're in the dashboard. So hopefully this will spun itself up happily. We're going to sleep. Yay. All right. So you can see at a glance active, inactive campaigns. At the moment, we've got this active campaign here, registered updates. Inactive campaigns will not accept enrollment, and you cannot edit them. That's actually changed in 9.3. You used to be able to edit them, which is not a good thing when they're running. Campaign templates are a predefined set of templates that you can use to pre-built ones that you can use to start your journeys off with. And you can also save your own plans once you've created them as templates for reuse or packaging and exporting to other customers, perhaps if you're a partner maybe. And so let's go in and have a look at creating a plan and the UI for that. So let's go and create a blank one. Okay, the first thing to note, and as I said before, if you're very familiar with this, bear with me, we're going to get a bit more detail. You'll see we've got this entry point here. We can now enroll contacts in several ways. This has been expanded in more recent Sitecore versions. We can, as we could before, through a goal, event, or an outcome being added as an interaction to a contact. And we could also now schedule enrollments. So let's say you had a bunch of people added to List Manager. You could look at on a daily or weekly basis, enroll them all in a plan and send out a bulk EXM email campaign, for example. You can also have it to meet specific rules. So you can see here that we've got, I don't know, maybe someone's clicked on an email. So we've sent an EXM campaign out. The click action has taken them back to the website, and we registered that interaction, the EXM interaction against that contact. So that kind of closes the loop between the contact, the email campaign, and marketing automation, which is, I think, a very powerful thing in Sitecore. So those are enrolling. So we'll just pick one. Let's just pick a random goal, say brochure request. Okay, we have to click apply. Cool. So now we've got start and end, not a very useful plan. To the right here, we've got these various marketing actions. So these are the actions that act on a contact as they move through the journey. Then you've got listeners. Now, a listener let's take, for example, goal trigger. So let's drag that across. You see it's created this yes/no path. It's going to make a decision based on whatever we decide. So let's say we're expecting a goal to be triggered, click email link. The thing is though, they have to have some sort of delay on them or some sort of schedule, because otherwise what would happen is that the contact would move through this listener, would go, do they have this goal? No, okay, down the path, and they're gone. So there has to be a way to track that contact for a certain period of time, be that minutes, days, or whatever. Then you can have decision points. Decision points can only be added in certain places. You see, I can't add it there. They have to be on these paths below the listener. And they're very similar, but we can say make a decision based on the rule. And that might be a custom rule that will say, right, if our contact has interacted with a particular part of our website, or their record has been updated in CRM, then we can kick off this path, the yes/no path here, and make a decision. So then you can add your own custom rules in. And finally, there's these other elements. So the main one that we want to look at here is this send SMS message, which is a custom activity that I've created. And it kept it simple. It just enables you to send a simple message through Chillout. So let's pop back, drop changes, and okay. So once you've got this campaign, where is it stored? It's over, well hidden away in system, marketing control panel, automation plans. There's a bucket here in which your plans are stored, and you can obviously get in there and look at them. In fact, we'll just briefly do that. You can see it's bucketed by date. Let's use the 29th because that was here. And if you scroll down, you'll see this piece of information here. This is how the plan is stored. So this data this field gets updated when you interact with the marketing automation console, and you can actually go and edit if you want. And when you do the mysterious, deploy marketing definitions, this is the data that gets deployed to the ref data database. You can serialize and package these like you can with any other content item, and you can deploy them with no problems to another environment, just as you can with any other content. There's no dependencies that are going to cause that to break if you want to do that. All right, so let's have a look at the demo. Let's see, where is my demo? Cool, all right. Caravans Down Under is a fictitious company that runs caravan and camping parks here in Western Australia. And I figure since none of us are allowed to go anywhere, maybe they've got an opportunity there. Perhaps people can just holiday in their own backyard here in lovely Western Australia. And I think you'll agree, WA is a really horrible place that you must not visit, judging by these pictures. Now, I'm just going to jump back to the plan, just briefly. Okay, where is that plan? All right, so this is active and cannot be edited, so I'm going to pause that and switch off this report view, which we'll look at shortly. So currently we're registering, we're enrolling our contact from the website. There's a form that will create or update the contact in XDB. It will then register this goal of registration, funny enough, and enroll them in the plan. I'm going to add them to a list. That's just kind of by the by. That's not that crucial. And then we're going to send an SMS that welcomes them to Caravans Down Under. Then I'm going to put a delay in place. I did have a delay here before of 1 minute, and then I realized if I'd been talking while we wait, everyone would be like sitting on hold while the elevator music played while we waited for the miracle to occur. Okay, so I'm going to activate this plan. Now, something to bear in mind about plans as well. There's no like, yes, no, this plan is activated. You have campaign details and have a start and end date. It's all done on dates. And you can simply change the date and go, all right, let's put this in the future. There's our end date and save that. And that will actually now in 9.3 auto magically activate. And now we cannot edit it. You see this grey background. Occasionally, you'll get these little error messages come up the top here. Sometimes you need to worry. Sometimes you don't. It seems to have improved a lot since 9.1. So let's go back. All right, so our plan is active. I'm just going to connect up my iPhone here, which this could go horribly wrong. Let's give this a go. Okay. We're going to use this little app here. I'm going to go start. Ah, that's my bookmarks bar shown. I'll do that. All right. Let's go. All right, enter code, boom. Okay. Now I've just got to start mirroring, so you can't see this, but there's a little app that you can just broadcast your phone. Okay. And hopefully you can. Good Lord. Definitely don't want to hear that. All right. Okay. So you can see my screen, hopefully. So I've mirrored my screen. Now we're going to go to our demo site. We're going to register for updates. And we're going to type in fictitious person, or maybe Jamie Cam. And put in my email so you don't spam me. And I'm going to put in a fictitious number. And because I'm actually going to use my number to do the sending, of course. And I'm going to choose which region I want to receive updates about when I'm camping. I want to know if there's any vacancies or whatever. So I'm going to go to Southwest WA and register. Thank you. And if all the demo gods are in our favor, we should get an SMS from Chillout. And there we go. Welcome to Caravans Down Under. Okay, great. Thank you, demo gods. You're a beast. Cool. Excellent. All right, we're going to close that off. And then I'll just go back to that GitHub repo. Whoop, does that go? All right, so this just going to jump into our plan and see what happened. So you would normally see an enroll contact. Oh, you see it now because they're still they're in the delay step. And you can see there in this what we call report view, that's friendly view. Report view shows us who's transitioning through the plan. And let's just have a look who that is. So we click on that and see it's that guy. And there we are. Okay, so that's our plan. All right, so I'm just going to flip up a couple more slides here. Demo. Okay, before we get into the code, I think it's important to know what the components are for these activities to build it all. There's actually three pieces to this puzzle. The editor, the Sitecore items that support that, and the activity type, the class that is executed by the engine and also used by the MA console when you're editing. So from the front end, there's Angular components. So you've got the activity, which is this rectangle here. We've got the editor, which in this case is a simple text area, and we're going to look at that code in a second. And they're deployed as a plugin, so they get compiled from the TypeScript code, transpiled or whatever into one single JS file you put in Sitecore. From the Sitecore end, there's these components. So this is called an activity type descriptor, which is a fancy name for basically describing what our activity does. And these are stored in this well-hidden path, which we'll go to and look at shortly. There's the properties of the activity. You see we've got these parameters. This is the data being passed in and out, and the paths that the contact can travel down. We'll look at that in a second. And then the .NET code that gets deployed to the automation engine and also to your content management server for the marketing automation UI to use. All right, so into the code. All right, hold on, bear with me for 1 second. All right, let's hop into just to have a look quick at the overall structure of this solution. If you were to clone the GitHub repo, you've got the Sitecore project, which is the activity class and some other supporting stuff like configs. The UI, which is this front-end Angular code, which we're going to look at now, and XConnect, which is just a convenient kind of way that I've made it obvious where your patch files need to be deployed to. It's not. You could maybe publish that to the XConnect local instance. It wouldn't work on PAS, obviously. And then there's a little utilities program that I wrote a while ago, which lets you create contacts and initiate interactions, and it's kind of fun. Little console app. And the Sitecore packages, which you can deploy as a normal Sitecore package through your control panel on Sitecore, and it will create the items and everything you need for this to work. Righty ho. So front-end code. Let's get in there. Hopefully everyone can see this and I haven't gone offline or something. That'd be kind of scary. Cool. All right. Excellent. So let's go into our UI. Send SMS message is the folder in which it's stored, and then within there we've got a bunch of stuff. So let's run up VS Code and have a look at that. Come on, don't start over there. There we go. Cool. So in here we've got, one important thing to look at is this package.json, which describes the different modules that need to be imported or downloaded through NPM to make all this work. And the initial docs of Sitecore were faulty, or it didn't work with 9.1. I think it worked with 9.0. And this one works for 9.1 and 9.3. And the only thing you need to change is this here. This is how Sitecore have chosen to distribute these packages. They're part of a Sitecore solution, and you've got to tell it where your Sitecore instance is, so that it doesn't matter which Sitecore instance it is. All it needs is it's got to get the packages from there. So that's crucial. If it goes wrong, that's probably the first place to look. Then in here we've got the plugin, which describes the whole packaging of the plugin, what goes in, what's being imported into it. The crucial thing to note here is this ID value, which must match the activity descriptor in Sitecore's ID, except in lowercase. And it also must match the value that is in the config file XML patch that's deployed to your XConnect engine. Without those three pieces lined up, it's not going to work. So that's probably the first thing I would check if your stuff isn't working. Then there's the activity. So this is the simple little rectangle. We can see we've got the graph from icon, which is this one here, this little one here. And this is just some info that gets set as constants up here. I'm not passing anything into this one. Then you need the editor. So you've got your editor component, which will, so there's the module as well, which let's ignore that. And so key thing here is we've got a text area field, which we saw here with our message to send text area. And we've got a constructor, we've got information, this message property being passed in and out, and this is crucial as well. If you add any additional fields, you'll need to ensure that these lines here actually have the additional properties or fields added such that they're passed into the activity type class and passed back out and also stored in Sitecore. So that kind of glues it together. Okay, so it's just a fairly simple example we've got here. Let's build it. I could run npm install, but how are we going for time on that? No, I don't have time for that. All right, so npm install. No, let's not do it. npm run dev because I've already installed it. So let's hit it, and hopefully the Angular magic will happen. It does take a few seconds. If this fails for you and you can't get it going, the actual plugin is in the repository as well, in the Sitecore demo Sitecore project. So you can simply just take that and deploy that straight to your Sitecore instance, and it should still run. It will have that hard-coded dependency, so you need to make sure everything else lines up as well. That's the ID. And if we get this far, normally happy days. Problems I did have with this once upon a time was that I think there was something was making this code gen or dist folders read only, and that was causing stuff to break. So try that as well if you want to do things. We've got to do it. Alrighty. So if you see this screen, everything's out. Still got time. Good. So the actual plugin itself is in this dist folder, and there it is. So this is send SMS. Just increase this font size a bit. So send SMS message. .plugin.js. So that little piece of JavaScript has to be put in a well-hidden location in your Sitecore solution, which you can see in the Visual Studio repository. I hope everyone can see that. It's actually Sitecore shell, client, applications, marketing automation, plugins. Yeah, there we are. And yeah, there's also a config file, but we'll come to that as well. So let's take a look at the Sitecore items that need to be in place for all of this magic to work as well. There's the, let's scroll down, system, settings. It's again very well hidden. Activity types. Okay. You note that's different to where we looked before in the control panel, which had the other information of the plans. These you'll look pretty familiar because we saw these in our automation UI earlier. We've got the send SMS message one that we've created. So this, you notice that ID value 7668 ending 005, and we go back to here 7668 ending 005 in lowercase. That is what I was talking about. That has to match. This defines the. Just make sure I'm still there. Oh, good, still logged in here. Cool. This defines what this is the activity type, as we call it. It seems to me that the activity and activity type seem to be used interchangeably in the Docker. The name, what it's called. The description appears in the actual console. An icon. And so this is when it's over on the right-hand side of the console. I can't show you, but when it's sitting in the list of available activities, you've got the little RSS radar icon, the assembly name and class for the activity type. The icon, I should mention, this is important. I found earlier, at least on line 1, that if you didn't have an icon in there, it would think it was there and it would appear as, I think it would appear as 0 height, it wouldn't be returned or something. So make sure you have an icon. Then this is the assembly and then the classification. There are more of these than you could create more than the 4 that appear in the right-hand columns. Just quickly. Sure, yes. So that's what I'm referring to. These are the classifications that you put them in. I tried creating my own classification and adding an activity to it, and I discovered there's like a whole bunch of CSS and JavaScript dependencies that I just I gave up on that one. I just thought it'd be nice to have like a custom set for a client that you could brand it for them. So if anyone works out how to do that, I'd really like to know. All right. So then below that we've got parameters and paths. So the Sitecore parameters are what the editor needs to have the data passed into and out of the activity class. So into the Sitecore storage, the item, into the plan definition, and into and out of our Angular code. So this parameter, the parameters rather, describe what that is. Okay, how are we going for time? Yeah, I think we're going well. So we have this one param, which is this message param. The key, this key, and it's important to note, has to match the, we'll get to the code in a second, but this, increase the font size here. Yeah. This message property in our class has to exactly match the name of this, case sensitive, etc. The name, description, they don't do very much. Required will, well, it doesn't actually make it required in the UI when you try and save it without any content. I'm not entirely sure what the impact of this is, so I've left it blank and tried to ensure that everything gets populated. I'd certainly like to know more about that bit. The editor ID, this is a JSON, it's currently set to a JSON parameter converter. And I think the importance of that was if you didn't use that one, it wouldn't serialize and deserialize your strings properly. So if you had maybe some HTML or special characters, it wouldn't transfer them in or out of Sitecore and the class in the correct format. And so you'd end up, when you reloaded your plan, it would have sort of URL encoding or missing data or whatever. The object type refers to the actual .NET type of the property, which in this case is string, nice and easy. Cool. And that's really all we need to know about this part here. So then we have paths. Now, this is just using the default path. If you look in automation, and we were to create a new one, and we were to take a listener, we'd get this yes/no path. And you can, in your code of your activity type class, make decisions based on stuff to move your contact down a specific success path, success or fail path. And there's a couple of those, and they're all documented on the Sitecore website. So we're just going to go, in this case, we're just going to go with default because it's nice and easy. We're just going to go straight through and assume that everything goes. So those are the bits that go to make up the Sitecore components. You've seen the front end, you've seen the Sitecore bits. So let's have a little look at what the .NET code looks like here. So hopefully everyone can see this. All right, let's just shrink that down. So we've got a simple class. There are some package dependencies which you will need to pull in. These were a little bit tricky to work out, some of them. So that should help you to have those to hand. We've got this private member of the SMS sending service, and that is our property that's going to hold our service that does the Chillout sending. So there's really two parts to the C# code. There's the activity, if you're looking at now, and there's the service. The service is optional. I'm just using it because I wanted the service to do something, to send SMS for me. And the activity, you could just have an activity class that just does something, does a calculation or transforms something. There's also a sample predicate in here, which if we have time, I'll definitely go and have a look at. I'm not sure we're going to make that. There's a few other bits, pieces. So let's look at these bits here. These public properties. Oh, one thing to remember, this message property must be public. It will fail if it is not. The activity services are some services that are automatically injected if you add this property by Sitecore in the engine, and they expose some various services like the taxonomy manager and some stuff that, yeah, I'd like to maybe have a look into at some point, or if anyone wants to blog on it, that'd be cool. So we're currently injecting our SMS service into the activity class. That's being done through configuration. So there are some XML patch files that are included in the XConnect project here, which will define that dependency injection, and we'll get to that in a minute. Let's see, constructor, yep. And then we've got the bit that does all the work, which is this invoke method here. And we're automatically injecting the iContact processing context, which gives us information about the plan and about the contact. Put some example in here. Context.activity enrollment gives you information about the enrollment, what plan ID they're enrolled in, and more importantly, we're getting contact because this piece of code gets their phone number facet, defines their preferred phone number, and sends it via the SMS service. So I'm not going to go into this code. This is pretty standard .NET stuff. It's more how we get this stuff to happen that's more important. Right, so let's go and have a little look at the slide deck again and jump over to deployment. There's a number of pieces of this that we need to deploy, and well, let's put it this way: you probably want to put them in some kind of CI/CD pipeline because it's quite fiddly. And yeah, the thing is that you've got to deploy multiple bits to multiple places, especially in Azure PaaS. So that, and if you have custom contact facets, it makes life even more complicated. But we're just going to look at the actual elements. We need to deploy to the engine this custom activity DLL and the other supporting DLLs, Twilio, the XML configs. Just crunch the time here. I've been running nearly 40, so I've got 8 minutes left. Okay, doke. Better shove along here. Okay, so let's quickly churn through these. So the DLLs need to go, the configs to the engine. The Sitecore master database requires the activity type descriptor, which we looked at just now. And the content management server must also have the DLL in order for the UI to function. The JavaScript code for the plugin that we built, the front end code, and the descriptor config. Let's just go back. I'm just going to jump to Visual Studio. All right, let's just have a little walk through this here, and I'll give you some idea of what needs to be deployed. Let's look in Sitecore. First of all, we've got the DLL that gets built by this. We have a config that tells Sitecore that there is a plugin and it needs to know about it, and that's in that path. which we looked at earlier. It's convoluted up here. And that's really all we need for Sitecore: the DLL, the config, and the plugin. Okay, that's the CM server. Then XConnect. This is kind of important. If you know your way around the automation engine, you know it's hiding in this, in the local system anyway: app data, jobs, continuous, automation engine, and then all this stuff here. You'll get pretty familiar with these parts. Then okay, so app settings config. This is not essential for unless you're using the app settings. These are the ones above the line here. These are all built in. They come out of the box. These here are some to support our Chillout ascending, and we're calling them in to the activity class. Most important of all are these patch files here. And so you see I've put them into marketing automation _ patch to highlight where they are. If you look in, shuffle it along a bit here, XConnect, app data, jobs, continuous, automation engine, app data, cycle. Oh, you see here, that's where they will end up, these 4 files. The ones that you particularly need is this activity type, which again, here's that magic ID again, which is that 7668, that has to match. If you have a service injection, you will need to have this config for your dependency injection to work. So anything that's an ISMS service will be injected as SMS service for us. Then if you want to load, well, in this case, we're loading phone number facets. If you want to load custom facets, you need to edit this as well. But not all facets are being loaded out of the box with the automation engine, and that's a trap that I certainly fell into. And thanks to my friend George for his help on that one very late in the night. Then this is crucial if you want non-standard facets. I can't remember which ones are included, but it's like email and a couple of basic ones. And then if you want to have a predicate, you would pop that in here. So I've got this one I've called random split, which is coming out of our solution. We're going to have time for that one. All right, move along. Okay, so debugging. You can put logging into your activity type. It will appear in app data, logs, and there they'll be. And it'll tell you that, let me just grab that the work item, that the contact has been transitioned and pools have been started. There's a really good video by Jacob Nielsen, not the CSS guy, who talks about the architecture of this, which I've got links to at the end, and I'll find a way to share. Moving on, however, the Sitecore automation engine uses iLogger. I haven't put it in here, but it's quite easy, and I'll happily assist if anyone needs. So you would simply add iLogger in here and magic will happen. Now, if you want to debug, let's say I want to debug our activity class, want to know why isn't it working, scratch your head and it'll happen. You need to attach to the engine. You're not attaching to Sitecore. So we attach to the process, and it used to be called MA Engine, and now it seems to be called Sitecore MA Engine. And if you mouse over it, I hope you can see that that's telling us exactly which executable that we're about to attach to. And here we go. And goes red, happy days. So we know that it's going to hit that breakpoint. Cool. In Azure PaaS, the logs are in the web job. So they're sort of tucked away. Troubleshooting. You do not have access to Sitecore context. The master and core databases are off limits to you. You could try and add them as a connection string, don't do it. You're not supposed to, and it's a bad thing. You can't retrieve items, so you'll be thinking, oh yeah, I could use lookup from master to make comparisons and enums and can't do it, not possible. There are some APIs available in that activity services and other things that you're welcome to explore. I don't have anything on that in this particular presentation. You'll make sure activity ID is the same, like we talked about. Custom facets, you've got to make sure that they're in your contact loader. Your engine, I don't know if this has changed, but the engine in PAS and locally didn't used to recycle when the XML changed. That may have been fixed. One thing that I left here that I really must mention, let's just stop that, is that these XConnect configs, see the naming, sc.blah.xml, you absolutely must name them with the sc.prefix and ending in .xml. Otherwise, they won't work. I don't know if that's changed, but it was certainly the case until recently. So probably want to stick with that convention. Otherwise, your patches won't be picked up. So where to from here? You could integrate with line of business apps, which I have done with Azure Service Bus for inbound messaging and outbound messaging, which is good for integration with other products like CRM. You can use all custom predicates as an example in here, which you can have a go with. And I think we've got to call it time. You can explore the API, which lets you enroll contacts into plans, remove them. You can have a look at using the yes, no failure paths and the activity results like success move, success failure, failure move, whatever. You can look at the built-in services that are available. And I also wanted to, I didn't get around to it in the end, but just jump on, what's it going? In the UI, it would be kind of cool if you could like have drop downs and stuff from here that pull data out of Sitecore. Couldn't work out how to make that go, and my Angular probably wasn't up to the job on that one. And there's some resources here which I'll share. There's the GitHub repo, a bunch of blogs, and later on you're going to hear a preso from Alexei Veshelovich, who wrote some really good blogs on this a while ago, Sitecore 9. Thanks for those, mate. They're very helpful. And there's a few others in here. At that point, questions? What do I do?
Thank you so much, Andy. Yep, you're still there with us. So there was a few questions. There was a few questions, mate. Okay, the first question is, do we know the interval in which marketing automation plan is invoked? If that makes sense to.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the rest of the webinar stuff, which has disappeared. Okay, cool. There is a polling interval that is in a config somewhere that you can set. I haven't changed it. If you watch that video by, let me just call that up. So while that comes up, yep. So I believe that you would control the worker process through this polling interval. In this, oh, you can't see my screen. I'm sorry. There is. I'll share these around. Oh,
yeah, we can see it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
This video, where is it? Engine and architecture. It's not new, but it covers a lot of really good stuff. I highly recommend watching that video. It's from it's one of these master site cores, thanks to Mr. Jason Sansev. Yeah, so there's some stuff about that in there.
Oh, great. Okay, so that was a question from Debugging. He asked another one. They've created a custom rule for their automation plan. It's currently a normal .NET library project. How do they want to know how to push the logs for debugging a custom rule, because using the normal Sitecore logging doesn't seem to work as expected.
Yeah, well, two questions to that. I would respond with, are we using the new framework rules? because if you're not using the new framework rules as per like the example, they won't work. I don't believe you can use the old school rules. They won't get fired. They're stored, and I'm just going to quickly hit that. They are stored, if I can remember.
They are using the new framework rules, by the way.
Okay. So then the next question, so it's not possible. So they want to do the logging in the engine. Okay. So I'm afraid I don't have the example, but what I had in my going to go all the way to the end now. Right, just a sec. There was you use Microsoft .extensions.logging or something like that, and you pass the iLogger in. There, if you were to disassemble some code from somewhere, you might find an example of that. But that's definitely what worked for me. I just don't have it in this example. But if they would like me to, I can share it from some other code.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. If you're out there listening and you want to ask questions, you can ask them at any time. Deputy Team said that helps. You've obviously set them off on a trail, so that's great. Good work.
Well, just give me a shout anyways. No worries. Well, it was fun. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Dave, Bruce, Krishna, Gemma Cam. Mike, thank you
There
very
are
much.
other questions as well, Andy.
Yes, ma'am.
There are a few more questions as well.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was there was none there.
No. Editor ID for the message item. Where do I get this from? I guess
the ID for
editor ID for message item.
I missed that one time. Yep, a little question from Topaz.
Maybe can in Sitecore.
You mean the Sitecore, the ID that needs to match across the 3 locations? That one?
We are not sure right now.
No.
Topaz, can you please form the question and send it again? In the meantime, we will go with other questions. Next one is it necessary to create the UI for custom activity, or there is any default UI?
You would need to create the UI elements, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to add it to your plan. The only way you could add it to your plan would be like editing the JSON, which seems a little bit kind of dodgy. So I would say yes, you have to create the UI, but they're not that difficult to create the simple ones.
Okay. The next question: is there any extra EXM configuration we have to do if you want to use email campaigns in marketing automation?
No, not at all. That's totally integrated. So we were to click on send email, put that in here. We could go straight here and get the drop down of available EXM campaigns, and it would just send to that. So that's one of the neat features of it.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Bruce, you want to take
fantastic. Yeah, so look, can you pop the slide up there, Gopi? Make yourself your presenter and just pop up the donate slide. That'd be great. Yeah. Thank you, Andy. We've got Alison Sainsbury joining us next. She's actually online.
Bruce, there is one question.
Get out of Alison's space. Thanks, guys.
Okay, okay. Last question. Corey Smith wants to know if it worked with XSLT. Of course, he's being funny. But the last question.
There's a new feature released on April Fool's Day. All right, catch you later.
Good. All right. Okay, we've got Alison Sainsbury on here. And there she is. Hello, Ali. We're going to make you the presenter.
Have a look at these pictures.
Mute.
There you go. Mute's off. That's great.
It's always helpful, isn't it?
Can you hear us there?
I can. Hey, Bruce.
How you doing?
Krishna. I'm good.
Hey,
how are
how
you?
Good. Look, I just made you the presenter. So whenever you're ready, there you go. Oh, we can see your screen now.
Right. So I'm not actually supposed to start for 10 minutes. Do you want me to start or wait for
yeah,
7 minutes for people?
Let's wait for 7 minutes. We're
Okay.
trying to run to time. Have you got the slide deck with the donate slide on it?
I do. That, in
Sure,
fact, would
sure.
be the next slide.
Yeah, do you want to just pop that one up? Because we're encouraging people to donate for, you know,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
frontline people are out there working and taking it tough. So it's a really good cause. So it's got a URL where you can go to when Ali finds the slide, and you can go there and donate, and that'd be a really good thing to do.
Sorry, can you see the slide now?
No, I can't yet. You might have to share a different screen.
No.
Hold on.
So
Just make sure I'm showing the right screen.
We'd be really slick at this sort of stuff, but it's the first time we've done it. And so it's new software, so it's been a lot of fun.
It's monitor 3.
But it's not really new
Now can
software.
you see it?
GoTo's been around for a while. Now, in the Alison, you have sharing. In the sharing tab, you have the screen. So there you can select the screen, which screen you want to.
Yeah.
She's onto
Are you
it.
seeing it?
Yeah,
we
Have
can
you
see
got
now.
it?
Yeah.
Okay,
perfect.
good.
Perfect. So we've had a couple of sessions so far. There was Rob Earlham doing his Docker stuff. It was similar to a presentation he's done before, but actually a lot more detailed. There was lots of sort of hot tips and tricks and things in there. So, because we've been doing a lot of Docker lately, so it was a really enjoyable session for me. Yeah. And so we're just sort of hanging out, chitting and chatting in between the sessions, keep things kind of rolling along.
How's things going in New Zealand, Bruce? How much do you guys like being the heroes of the world right now?
Well, look, I've got to be honest. It's such a Kiwi thing because for me, nothing's changed. I still just go to my office downstairs in the backyard and sit down and do my work and then go and be with the family. We just haven't been going out as much.
Hi, Andy.
Hey, Andy.
Hi there. I thought seeing as you guys were sort of, having a chat, I'd join in. Yeah, Bruce,
look,
you just
I
like
have-
hang out.
I've made my coffee in my London mug that I bought in London at SUGCON last year. So that's my little. Oh, I know.
Rub it in.
Alison, what was the result of poll? You had Twitter poll?
Yeah. So I need more
Well,
coffee.
I'm going to grab a cup of tea
Hey,
and come back
Corey.
into it.
Good Lord, it's Corey Smith, or at least
Stash,
from the start. Oh no, this is
Stash is
behind it.
good.
I can see him.
The pillow.
Oh,
The doll
something
is okay, Corey. The doll. The doll's freaking me out, Corey. What's with
Yeah,
the
what's
doll?
with the doll, man? That's weird.
Are you sure that thing's not alive? Can't hear you. Or the doll, thankfully. Rick.
Oh, Rick.
It's alive. Trust me.
It's just having a little lay down. Well, at least you're
good.
off
That's
Corey's lap,
excellent. Yeah. Oh, no. Put the doll away. Oh my God.
Oh, no. Anything but, please.
I'm hiding from the doll. Help.
Oh,
dear.
So if
That's
you've just
terrible.
tuned in, you're watching the SUGCON Global presentation with Corey and his doll. Look, he's not doing a session on the doll, thankfully. Next up, we've got Alison Sainsbury, which is a vast relief to me because I don't know what Corey could do with a doll. Maybe he's like put an Internet of Things device into it, so it syncs in with his computer. I don't know.
Yeah, and Corey's wearing his you had me at metadata t-shirt. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. I personally have the Eat, Sleep, Sitecore, Repeat t-shirt on.
oh.
I did run a little bit of a poll on Twitter. Your options were either I just wear a boring old Sitecore shirt, I wear this t-shirt, I wear my pajamas, or I wear formal wear. And I was fully prepared to go the sparkles, but this was the winning vote. So, you got to
the
give
right
people
choice.
what they want.
Yeah, you
Plus,
do.
I also
Yeah,
got this in London last year, so Oh, yeah, I think.
So Bruce, how long are you running this thing?
well, I think I've got till about 7 or 8 o'clock. Hang on, just thinking of the schedule.
I guess next 4 to 5 sessions. Next 4 to 5 sessions.
Oh,
Yeah.
Until Europe, I guess.
the two of you are co-hosting for the next 4 or 5?
Yeah,
Oh, God help you, Gopi.
Oh, look, it's going to be fine. For Corey, you're being an alarmist. Yeah.
What time is it for you, Rick and Corey? What time is it for you?
It's
Midnight.
bedtime, 1 a.m.
Midnight for me, 1 for Corey.
Really appreciate you
Good.
guys dropping
Well
in. It's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Big thing.
there's other guys that should have been able to hack it but couldn't. You know, Akshay's gone to bed, Mike's gone to bed, Kamaru's gone to bed. It's like. Zzz.
Yeah. I just want to point out that I get up
I'm
at
still
like 2
here.
o'clock in the morning. Hey!
I thought that'd spark him in the life.
There you go.
Oh, not sleeping.
Well, look, it can't be a SUGCON or a symposium if you go to bed at a reasonable hour. Like those two don't go hand in hand.
I gotta get up in like 4
Yeah.
hours like, to take over from these guys. So
Stay up.
We're doing my
Coffee.
Or
pajamas.
just stay up,
Through.
yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
I'm planning on that. Yeah.
That just constant feeling of garbage and sleep deprivation is one of those things that you just expect out of every symposium and SUGCON. So
I mean, I hope you're drinking too, right? I mean,
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was the problem.
coffee.
I started
Coffee,
doing
Rick.
that.
nah. I mean, to Corey's point, why? That's not.
Sorry, Dennis is asking what is the doll's name?
Who asked that?
We don't
Dennis.
ask questions about the doll. If you ask questions about the doll, the doll becomes sentient. Oh my God, Cam, you look at your background.
Glorious.
It's glorious.
It is luxury.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
We all have hair like this now.
It won't happen overnight, but it will happen.
Another 2 more weeks
Okay,
of
it's
lockdown.
3:10.
Another 2 more weeks of lockdown, it will happen.
Okay, it's 3:10. Shall we make this a thing that we
Yeah,
are doing?
I think so. So